This message is inspired by the Carmelo Anthony situation. Young black male stabs a young white male in the heart. And that's a tragedy that nobody wins in that. Nobody wins. I don't want to fixate on that topic itself, but I want to bring up a subject matter that this topic inspires. Who was right or who was wrong? Let me leave that out of this discussion. And what I want to say is there are three courts astrologically that we weigh such matters with. First court is Libra. What does public opinion say? What do the people say? What is said in the comments section? What do celebrities and popular people say? If I should go against the popular opinion, what will happen to me? What will people think of me? If I should say, think, or feel the way that I really do from Scorpio, will I lose friends? Will I lose followers? Will I lose likes? Will I get demonetized? Will I face cancel culture? Will I be rejected? Will I be abandoned? That's the court of Libra that situations like this are judged by. When we get to the court of Scorpio, it's our instincts that does the judging. And those instincts are on the basis of eye for eye, tooth for tooth. It's the instincts of the carnal nature. The instincts of the carnal nature is what we can relate to on the deepest level, and that is through the algorithm of Scorpio in spirit. What would you do if it was you who was the black kid? What would you do if it was you who was the white kid? It's not about race. I'm just identifying Carmelo and the young man who was a twin, one of a twin, who got stabbed, okay? From both perspectives, you may have a good argument. All right? Again, I don't want to make this about who was wrong or right, but looking at the principle astrologically. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, also instinctually, what would you have done? What action would you have taken? Not what should you have done, but what would you have done if you were in either side of the perspective, right? Okay, what would your instincts tell you to do? What would your amygdala, the fight or flight, what would it have you to do? What would be the action? Okay, that's judgment from Scorpio, the court of Scorpio. When we get to Sagittarius, the judgment is based on higher wisdom and philosophy, which is the court of God. The court of God is based on what philosophy and law would suggest, the insight of philosophy, wisdom, and law. Of course, most of us would base our judgment in such situations and as critics on the outside from Libra and Scorpio. Very rarely would we ever make judgments from Sagittarius, which ultimately could make a better world if we did, okay, from the ninth house. Drawing from higher learning, from philosophy, from past courts and court conclusions and laws, arguments of justice, higher wisdom of judges, lawyers, past legal cases and analysis, things of that nature, taken into consideration, as well as philosophy, learned people, learned men, learned wisdom, learned women, okay? When we make decisions from that perspective, or even religious knowledge, we arrive at much better outcomes and conclusions in the crisis that we face throughout the days of our lives. But that's a very rare case. In order to judge from the court of the ninth house, you have to have training. And what I mean by training is somebody has to be teaching you, conditioning you to make such decisions from such high altitudes. The court of Sagittarius is the higher altitude of judgment and decision making because it is ruled by Jupiter. And what am I getting at with this is that when we fail to teach our children, educate our children from the household, how to maneuver such complicated situations, what to do in such a crisis. What happens if you come into, the tent and you see somebody of a different, who's not like you, who doesn't have, not from the same team that your team is from, or color that you're from, or demographic, or whatever else? How should you treat that person? How should you behave with or interact with that person? And if somebody treats you that way, how should you respond to them? In order for us to come from the higher court of judgment within the self, we have to have training. We have to develop that frequency of consciousness to come from the ninth house in our decisions. No matter what happens in life, if we come from the ninth house in our decisions, the outcome has a greater probability of being favorable, not only for yourself, but for others. You avoid troubles, you avoid problems, you avoid regrets, because you have ascended into a ninth house consciousness with yourself when it comes to crisis. In Libra court, we stand politically correct with how we respond and react. In Scorpio algorithm or court, we respond according to our personal thresholds of security. From Sagittarius, we respond consistent with the highest value of principle, morality, justice, or truth that we can reach for or that we can comprehend. So I'm bringing these three courts up because we leave our children nothing but the first two courts to refer to in their judgment and their decisions. What else goes with Libra and Scorpio? Music. Okay? It could be rap music that's behind your judgment that filters through Scorpio and filters through Libra. Libra picking up the association that we take with the criterion of judgment of those rappers and musicians, picking up their logic and reasoning on what is good, bad, right, or wrong, of how we should administer justice or how we should react or respond to matters of conflict. When it comes to Scorpio, it's the same. Scorpio raises the underworld, and so does some of the dark music that we could entertain. It raises the underworld. So we're reinforcing over and over again Libra and Scorpio as courts of judgment to make our decisions from. And there could be a lot of problems with that, because by the time you reach the headlines, you're at the mercy of public opinion. Libra. And public opinion is a very shallow perception, because at best what you're going to get is the sum total of everyone's political affiliations, demographical associations and commitments and loyalties. Some people are loyal to race, their demographics, or their political affiliations. No one is going to try to understand what somebody has done. Nobody's going to really weigh out from the ninth house, from such a high frequency, to find the meaning of justice between the two conflicting parties. Nobody's going to do that. The comment section, podcasters, and everything else, they're going to run with their own political ideology. They're going to run with their own underlying racist inclinations. They're going to run with their own fears and ignorance. No one's really going to find justice or seek justice or look into it to find the line of what justice really means in it. So the responsibility is on us as parents to teach our youth, to educate them about sticky situations, complicated situations that they could face. What happens when we're not teaching them? We set them up for failure because now they're at the mercy of their own instincts. They're at the mercy of their own amygdala, their fight or flight. They're at the mercy of what they have placed their confidence in concerning these rappers and musicians, the pop culture, and the comment section on Instagram or Snapchat, the comment section in TikTok. This is what they're going to base their criterion of judgment upon. Their closest social media affiliations. And they're going to take actions that wins them praise and support online. They're going to say things that gains them praise and support online. But in court, they will fall on their face. They will fail. They will be crushed. They could do things that they really regret. Because none of these people are going to come to visit you in prison. None of these people are going to come to your funeral. None of them. So why are you considering them with your decisions? Grandma is the only one who's going to visit you in prison. Grandma is the only one who's going to write you while you do your bid in prison. Grandma is the only one who's going to give you commissary. That's what young brothers is forgetting. All your homeboys ain't going to be there. So why are you listening to people who's not going to be at your funeral? Why are you listening to people who's not going to be there on visitation day? Who's not going to take the collect call when you calling home from prison? Why are you listening to all the wrong people? Now, as young black males, we have a bigger responsibility. We can't change what America is. America is founded upon racism, a stigma of hate for black Americans historically. It's founded upon that. That is something that no one can ever deny or refute, because it's not in far history, it's in recent history that this has been exponentially expressed in this country. Young black males especially do not have grace in this society. And America is tired of the version of the young black male who wants to be a gangster and a thug. America's tired of seeing them, tired of dealing with them. The children love it. The children imitate it. The children praise it. The children honor and worship young black males for that. But it's young black males who suffer the consequences of it. It's just like with black females. Young black African American females uphold feminism. They exemplify feminism. They demonstrate feminism. They teach all women of the world how to be feminists. They teach all women of the world how to hate men, how to resent their husbands, how to reject their husbands, how to live single, how to do it all while single. And all women of all nations look to the African American woman to find their personal expression of that energy, that spirit of feminism. They look to the black woman to do that. But she's the one who suffers the consequences of it, because none of them are brave enough to go as far as she does with it. This is the difference. So black people are crash dummies for the secret lusts of all of humanity. We are crash dummies for what people lust to do, but don't have the guts to do. For what people lust to be, but don't have the guts to be. We are the crash dummies. And that's sad. We choose to be that. So we can't cry victim. We can't blame the white man or anybody else. We have ourselves to look at because nobody forced us to be that. We choose it. Now that I made that point, because of feminism, sons are at the mercy of their mothers solely, and aunties, and social media, music for their education. That is what forms their ninth house. God help them. God help them. A woman cannot teach a young man how to be a man. She cannot do it. She cannot do it. It is impossible to teach a young male how to be a man. It is impossible. And what makes it even more sophisticated, complicated, is a young black male. You cannot teach a young black male how to be a black man in America. It takes a full lifetime to know how to maneuver these sticky situations while you are black. Certain roles and titles and career jobs, you grow up thinking that if you work hard to get the right education, you show the right character, you should have access to whatever it is that you strive for, whatever it is that you work for. And that's simply not true in most cases in America. When you are black, you really do have to be twice qualified. You have to be twice willing to do it twice as great in most cases. Because being black does make a difference. People will avoid you, go around you. They will not grace you, go out of their way to support you or help you. Yes, because you're black. That's not something to stand there and complain about. It's not something to make yourself a victim out of. It's not something to put so much emotional energy and righteous energy into. That is the wrong solution. The solution is understanding the game that they're playing, that people in America are playing, so that you can position yourself not to be on the unfortunate side of that game. And you play the game. You play the game. So be it. I have to be twice as good. So be it. My character has to be squeaky clean so that they cannot come up with simple excuses to avoid me or deny me. So be it. I have to be twice as strong, twice as patient. So be it. I have to have twice the humility. So be it. I have to take several L's, more L's than they would take on the way up. So be it. I have to get over my ego at points where I can hit them back, strike them back, curse him back, insult him back, push him back. I can't. Why? Because I'm black and he's white. He's going to get away with it. He's going to be forgiven. He's going to be overlooked, but I will not. We have to accept that that is the case. There's blessings in everything. There's blessings in everything. All he's doing is forcing upon me a higher development of my character. All he's doing is forcing upon me a sharpening of my consciousness, an acceleration of my expression of being. He's making me better and better and better, more times better than him, by treating me that way. But where it falls apart is when I get down on that frequency, when I get down on that level. That's where it falls apart. America wants you as black men to be violent. They want you to be ignorant and get out of control. They want you to be disrespectful and loud and clamorous. They want you to buck up and fulfill their lust of you, of being indignant, violent, impatient, lacking self-control, impulsive, emotionally triggered and based, reactive, not responsive, reckless. I could go on. You're only fulfilling their wish. You're only making it true what is said about you when you're not around. That's all you're doing. You're making it true. So, young black males have to have a different assignment from the household. And the assignment from the household is your character and your ability to stay consistent with a strategy under emotional pressure. We cannot tolerate any excuses for you to fail to rise up to that. Because when you leave the household, it can mean the difference between your freedom or doing a bid. It can mean the difference between you having access to opportunity or blowing it forever and no one ever trusts you again. When you're black, you don't have room as black men. You don't have room to mess up. You don't have room to make mistakes and errors when it comes to character. There's no room. You have to always shoot higher, not lower. America does not forgive black males for shooting lower. You're not going to be forgiven. It's always going to be remembered, and it's going to be put up against you. It's going to be held against you. Even though naturally, in a human sense, everyone gets frustrated at some point. Everyone may lose their cool, argue, go back and forth, so on and so forth. But when you are a black male, you can't do that. You have to be stronger than the rest of them. It's the only option that you have. And being stronger doesn't mean showing more teeth, being more aggressive, becoming more threatening. That's not what it means to be stronger. It means enduring the temptations to fall apart. You have to endure how much they provoke you to make their dream come true. And they provoke you to make their dream come true in a sense of, show me who you really are. I know it's in you. That gangster, that thug, that nigger, that animal. I know it's in you. The indignation, the emotional outburst. I know it's in you. And they want you to let it go so they can say, aha. So they could use it as an excuse to say, no, we can't open that door. We can't allow that access. No, we can't give you this and we can't give you that. No, you're not qualified. You're giving all the excuses. Even when you come from an independent standpoint, don't think that this just relates to jobs. It relates to social infrastructure. Because no man is an island. When you're black and you're coming into a situation, people are sniffing you out for residue of the niggatry, for residue of the ghetto traits, of the animalistic instinct and behavior, the threats, the prejudices and fears that they already have about you. And the truth is, unfortunately, we have to have some of these traits because of where we have to maneuver through. I'm just going to keep it a buck. We often return home to different worlds. As African Americans, we move through jungles, concrete jungles that are very dangerous. And it's our own people, it's our own kind who are the greatest threat to our life. And if you don't have the wolf, you don't have the threat, if you're not dangerous, you won't make it in a lot of cases. But what's complex about the African American male is he has to have the ability to reach for both images of himself, both forces of himself, and use them with wisdom. In that tent, in the incident with the young man, Carmelo, he did say, put your hands on me and find out, or put your hands on me and you go find out, right? That statement right there is enough to let me know that you were co-creating the outcome when you spoke that into existence. I'm analyzing this as a father to a son, all right? If Carmelo was my son, or Carnello, if I'm saying his name wrong, if the young black man was my son, this is what I would have to say to him, right? I would have to say to him, was there not an adult authority or staff member who you could have went to, right? Why were you in the tent? Okay? And if he tells me, okay, I was waiting for the rain to stop. Okay, fine. I have no problem with you doing that, son. But when those guys came up to you and questioned you, first of all, what type of tone was used? Okay? What tone did they have? Were they inquisitive? Were they narcissistic? Were they bullying? Were they antagonizing? Either way, it takes two energies to create a reality. If they were using any type of negative tone toward you and asking you why you were there, you do not have to co-create the next step. You don't have to do that. Because you already understand you're black. They're white. If you co-create this to escalate, they're going to get away with it and you're not. And I know it's not fair we could cry until the sun comes up. And that's why mothers should not teach sons. That's the reason why mothers should not teach sons. Because the reasoning of females is to argue on how things should be instead of strategizing a way through the way that things are. That's the difference when it comes to women. And that's why women should not be teaching our black sons. They set them up for failure because they get into the mind state of a woman, which is to change nature, to change the way that things are, to fight and wrestle with nature. I don't like that it's that way. It shouldn't be that way. Well, it's not fair if it goes that way. Well, he should have the right. Who the fuck has time to argue what already is? Women have a problem with acceptance for what is. So they fight and they struggle and they war and they wrestle with God. They wrestle with angels. They wrestle with nature. They wrestle with everything and anything that is of nature. That reasoning is unhealthy for young black males because it steps them into the female's mentality. And a man cannot walk with the thinking of a woman. He has to be consistent with law. The law of nature, the law of life. So if these young twins came up with a hostile, just assuming, okay, let's say they came up with a hostile tone. That lets you know where they're coming from. The tone and demeanor of a person lets you know where they're coming from. If they're coming from the darkness, you know how to respond. If they're coming from illumination, you know how to respond. But you check the temperature by the tone that they give you, the demeanor that they give you, the body language that they give you. You peep game. Hey, why are you in here? If you return fire with fire, what happens if it gets out of control? Your black ass is going to be in trouble. And they're going to be at home enjoying their meal. That's just the way it is. You cannot change that. It's nothing you could do about it. But you have to focus on what you can do. Father God, grant us a serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. What's next? Grant us the courage to change the things that we can and the wisdom to know the difference. Am I right? We're stepping in Scorpio. Scorpio's what? The war and battle algorithm. Okay? War, battle, algorithm. So when somebody's presenting war to you, Battle algorithm, you step into Scorpio. Serenity prayer. So they come with this tone. What type of tone do you return to them? How do you reply? How do you answer? You don't have the grace to see white boys as your peers. You don't have that grace because you can't go as far as they could go. You can't take it as far as they go without losses. White boys can go all the way in without suffering a loss, but you will suffer every single loss. You will get hit by every branch on the way down. They won't be touched by a single branch. That's the reality you're in, and you have to accept that that is the reality. Acceptance is first. You have to accept who your black ass is in American society. If you can't accept it, you're going to have a hard time. And women will mislead you from that ability to practice acceptance because women struggle with acceptance. That's why they always divorcing after some man goes and cheats on them, which is inevitable for every man, which is the stupidest shit a woman could ever fucking do. You're gonna divorce a man because he cheated on you with your dumb ass? Good luck on finding a man who won't cheat. They have a problem with accepting nature. So anyway, that's just one point. The next thing is, it was mentioned that the young men started to, argue, harass, go back and forth. At this point, it's already escalated. They're touching your property or they touch you, and you said to them, touch me again. I think you said, touch me again, okay? And you're gonna see what happened. Why didn't you find an elder, an adult, an authority figure, a staff member, okay? At the moment that you see that they're being hostile, why don't you go to an adult and reason your intentions in being in the tent? Listen, I'm in here because it's raining. I hope it won't be a problem. But as soon as the rain stops, I'll go over there. I'm with the team from the school at so-and-so. That's why I'm in here. Be honest. Be transparent. Communicate. Because people can't help you when you don't communicate. And if you see that somebody's on some bully time, you don't have the grounding to go toe-to-toe with white boys in America. Because society is on their side. The courts are on their side. The judge is on their side. The jurisdiction the judicial system is on their side. That's just like you going against a woman. It's the same. It's just like you going against a woman. The judge is on the woman's side. The court is on the woman's side. Divorce court, family court is on the woman's side. The lawyer and attorney is on the woman's side. Well, not the lawyer, attorney, the jury. The jury is on the woman's side. The media is on the woman's side. Podcasts and social media is on the woman. All of this world is on the woman's side and the white boy side. Women, white boys, white girls, and gays, and Jews too. That's who this world is protected. That's who this world protects. They protect women, including black women, gays, Jews, and white males and females. That's who they protect. Black males do not fall under any umbrella of protection and security. None. The black American female, she has excessive protection. Black males don't. And this is again another reason why black women cannot teach black boys. Because they tend not to have the self-awareness that they are a protected species in this country because they signed up as useful idiots for feminism and liberalism and gays. They are the useful idiots. And for that reason, protection comes with it. They are the tool and instrument that keeps families divided. And they teach all women of all nations how to walk in that footstep because they form the ideal, the visual for females to see, to become emboldened to work against their husbands, to work against men, to scream misogyny and feminism and all this other stuff. The black woman is who they look to get all of their marching orders including gays. Gays get their personality from black women. They get their style from black women. How they walk, how they talk, how they dress. Everything, all of that comes from the black woman. She is protected for that reason. Black males are the only ones who have no protection in this society. So you cannot maneuver out here going toe to toe. You can't get in fist fights with white boys. You can't stab white boys. You can't shoot white boys. You get away with that with your own. If he would have stabbed another black kid, everybody would have said it was self-defense, go home. But they're not going to let you have that. You fucked around and stabbed a white boy in the South, in the deep South at that. Nigga, you are fucked because you didn't know the game. You can't get down low with white boys. Not with witnesses around, you can't. You'll never win. That's just like you trying to go to war with a woman in America. You will never win going to war with a woman in America. Never. Because the courts will get that ass. The courts will have that ass. You will never win. Just like you can't argue with women, you can't argue with white boys. You can't go back and forth with women, you can't go back and forth with white boys. You can't put your hands on women, you can't put your hands on white boys. You have to avoid these situations at all costs, because once you go down that road, probability is you are going to lose. You're going to lose miserably. That's the truth. That's the reality. So all that bucking up and meeting his aggression with his aggression, meeting his energy with his energy, you could do that with your own peers and counterparts of the black community, but you cannot do that with white boys. They want to take it there. They want to lure you and bait you into that because they have false confidence just like women do. Women have this false confidence in society because of feminism. They know they got the courts, they got the police, they got the judge. Everybody in society is on their side. If they drop one tear, the whole world of panderers are going to come to their side in their defense. So this is what makes females in America very loud, boisterous, violent, uncontrollable, disrespectful. They put their hands on people, they spit at people and curse at. They treat people every way that they don't want to be treated. And this is because they know there's no consequence. This is because they know that they're protected. Everybody knows a person that is protected by a bigger person. They usually have the loudest mouth. They can't fight, but they got the loudest mouth. And that's because they know that they have protection. You see what I'm saying? How many of y'all out there ever hung out with somebody who can't even fight? You the one who can fight. They can't fight, but they starting all the fights. Okay? This is white boys. And it's the same thing with all women of all races in America. Okay? They know that they're not going to face the consequences for what they do, so they don't mind doing what they do. They know that you can't go as far as they go into the drama without suffering losses. So they're willing to go down into the deep with the drama because they know you can't go with them. That's like an alligator, right? I could pull you into the water, but I know you won't survive. I could breathe underwater, but you're going to drown. That's how it is to fight a woman. That's how it is to fight a white boy. You see what I'm saying? When you fighting a white boy, you fight a woman as a black male. Okay? When you going at it with either one of them, it's like you fighting an alligator. And the alligator is going to pull you in the water where you're going to suffer all the losses and lose your life. You're going to lose your breath. They're going to be fine because they could breathe underwater, but you can't. You see what I'm saying? You cannot go where they go because the law is not going to protect and defend you. It's not going to recognize you. It's not going to honor you. The people are not going to come to your aid and defense. And screaming, crying black, that is a card that is, listen, man, the whole being black and racism and all this, don't ever say that again in your fucking life. Like it's dead, okay? African American females killed it. They cried wolf. Since Obama became president, they have been crying wolf with racism. Racism, everything is racism. You can't even use that no more. You can't. And what happened wasn't racism. But what I'm saying is, don't lead with the expectation that you're going to fall on a race card every time to save your black ass. You see what I'm saying? Now, where I'm getting at also is that I know it's a little choppy. Again, I don't use notes, you know what I mean? Which I probably should. Another point I want to get at is that if this was my son, right, I would have told him what I told him, okay? And also what I would have to say to him is, you had chances to avoid that situation. You had chances. But you allowed your ego to mislead you. You can't allow your ego to get in the way, again, in that reality with white boys. Because all you're going to do is crush. You're going to get crushed. Okay? Because even though a man can beat a woman, and if there was no law that was defending her, if there's no courts that was hovering over her and protecting her, you wouldn't hear a word out of women. You wouldn't hear a word. They'll be quiet. They'll be humble. They'll lower their voice. They would never raise their voice to a man in public. Okay? The only reason women do that is because the court is on their side. The state is on their side. And public opinion, Libra, is on their side. That's the only reason women are out of control. If women did not have the protection of public opinion, media, police, the courts, women would be quiet as a church mouse. They wouldn't peep. They wouldn't get loud. They would talk sweet. They keep their head down. They'll shut the fuck up. You would never have a problem out of women. Never. You would never have a problem. And it's the same with white boys. Okay? If white boys didn't have the public, the American society, infrastructure society in and of itself on the side, you wouldn't have any problem out of them. You would never have a problem out of white boys. That's what I know. Okay? But that's not the case. So we have to play the game according to the way that it really is. Understand? So if this is my son, I would explain to him, you have to go up, not down. So the moment that you sense, you intuitively can pick up that they on some demon time. You know what I'm saying? They being a little, arrogant or obnoxious or, antagonizing. You have to deflect the situation. So why are you in the tent? I hope it's not a problem, but I'm just sitting here, getting away from the rain. All right. I'll be out of here in a minute. No problem. How you doing? Yeah, my name's so-and-so. Or you could change the frequency and go up. You know what I'm saying? They coming from a low frequency, but you could come from a high frequency. I'm getting out of the rain. I'm from another team. Nice to meet you. My name's so-and-so. How you doing? Like that. And be confident and loud about it. The other thing that is curious is that there's other adults in the situation. Somewhere there's some adults, okay? You got to go to an adult, a person of authority figure, and put them on notice on what, the fact that you in the tent or whatever. I hope it's not a problem, yada, 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 okay? And you got to communicate that way to build some advocacy for yourself, to get some clarity around you so that nobody's antagonizing you. Okay, because you realize that antagonism is rearing its head and you don't want to go toe to toe with that. So you go to a higher authority than them and you put them on notice. Hey, I'm here. I'm just here for a minute. I'm here for this reason or whatever else. If it's not, if it's really a problem, I'll go somewhere else. But, I'm just sitting here. Is it a problem? Is it okay? Okay, no problem. Thank you. I appreciate it. And they come back over there. Okay, so-and-so right here said it's not a problem. You can go talk to them. You have to use your head. You have to use your head. And when they go into, if you have time to say to a person, touch me again and you're going to find out, you got time to get out of the situation. Because you know good and well that if you got a knife in your bag and you have a motive or intention to go for that knife, and this is a white boy, okay, you're asking for trouble that you cannot get yourself out of. You're asking for a problem that you cannot fix. This is America. What the fuck are you thinking? Touch me again and find out? The first time he touched you, yeah, you could have knuckled up with him or whatever. But going to get a knife? If he don't got a knife or a gun, fuck is you reaching for a knife for? Bust the motherfucker's ass. You know what I'm saying? Beat his ass. If that's the case. But what's really wise to do is the moment that they started escalating the situation, you simply need to go put yourself under the covering of, a higher authority by letting them know why you're there. And if it's a problem, okay, don't listen. I don't want any problems. I'm just going to go over here. Okay, that's better for you than to let your ego lead you into regrets that you can never fix. That you in prison, somebody's dead. You can't fix that. You cannot fix that. Your parents suffer while you in prison too. You can't fix that. If you have time to conceive the thought, touch me again, and you gonna find out. You got time to get out that situation. You have time to figure something else out other than reaching in that bag, grabbing a knife, and stabbing somebody in the fucking heart. Why the fuck is you so scared of somebody that you got to grab a damn knife in the first place? Fuck is wrong with you? Why are you so scared? I don't have a problem with you having a knife. I don't have a problem with you having a knife on a property. Everybody got knives. Young men are supposed to carry fucking pocket knives. I don't have a problem with that. That's not abnormal. And notice, I can't talk about what those white boys should have did. Yeah, it's a whole lot of things we could get on. Why are you coming so hostile at somebody just because you don't know them or they not from the same team? Is that how y'all get down? Why didn't they go to an adult and say, hey, listen, I don't know who this guy is, but he doesn't seem to be from our team. Can you, check about him? Or I want to check about him. If you didn't like the fact he was there, hey, go to somebody who's authorized to check this kid. Go to somebody who's authorized to manage and mediate this situation. But they took it into their own hands and manage instead. Okay? It's a lot I can say about them. But what's productive is for us to focus on the self. Right? So as a father, we got to give our children the right tools to lead a house with. And the only tools that black mothers seem to give their children is more racism and wrestling with nature, wrestling with everything that they can't fucking change, arguing and going back and forth with shit that's not getting ready to change or stop. You have to start with where you do have power. Where you do have control, where you can make a change and a difference, where you can maneuver and make an effect. And it's not within the thresholds of you versus white people or you versus females in this society. As a black male, you must always avoid conflicts with females and conflicts with white people. Because when it comes to conflicts with females or white people or gays, you are going to lose every time. You're going to lose in the office. You're going to lose in public. You're especially going to lose when it comes to violence. You do not argue with such people. You avoid arguments at all costs when it comes to these people. You avoid it because you're not going to win. That's using wisdom. You have to use wisdom to keep your freedom. You are a black male. Black females argue, wrestle with everybody in society. They go back and forth with everybody in society. They disrespect all authority. They have no dignity about themselves, no class, no self-respect, no nothing. They're like wild animals. They're not in position to teach children how to conduct themselves in public. They're not in position to do that. They are not. They are the worst to give advice to youth about how to maneuver society. Young black males need special instructions in how to maneuver through this world. The same way that they got to deal with white people is the same way they got to deal with females, because both of them are protected by the state. Both of them are protected by society. Both of them are defended by the media. Both of them are automatic wins. Both of them can go down into the deep, into the dark, and they can still breathe, but you will die if you go down in there with them. You will not come out alive. That's what needs to be understood. You are a male, a black male. Rules are different for you. They apply different to you. The law applies differently to you. And it's not for us to be victims about it. It's not for us to wrestle with it or fight to try to change or whatever else. It's for us to adapt to it. We have to adapt to it. That's the trick. Look how much energy black females are wasting in politics and everything else, arguing about things that are futile, going back and forth about things that are futile, and they are filled with racism. They are very racist. And none of it is productive. None of it gets anywhere. And their children following the same footsteps. They get to a traffic stop and they're arguing and going back and forth with everything, doing everything that is futile. You're pulled over in a traffic stop and you argue with the officer. You're not going to win. They argue and test and wrestle with everything that they can't win against. That's a fool. That's being a fool. You have to know the limitations of your power. You have to know the limitations of your authority. It makes you wise. It preserves you. It's a tragedy what's happening to young black males. They're not being prepared to maneuver through this world. Now, some things that really work against young black males is we're forgetting that what I do affects you and what you do affects me. You know, if I come to the job smelling like weed, pants hanging off my ass, showing up late all the time, I'm making it harder for the next nigga that come on a fucking job site. I'm misrepresenting my brother. Understand that. If you give somebody an experience of somebody who is quite wild and ghetto, think he a little gangster, hair all over his head, walking around like he just has no compass, walking like you have nowhere to be, slow steps, face twisted up, you on demon time. What I do affects my brother, and what my brother does affects me. We share the same image. It's the thing that we have to understand. There's no such thing as what I do ain't got nothing to do with what you're going through. Yes, it does. It has everything to do with that. This is psychology that came from women also. Individualism. To each his own. That comes from women. As men, we are not allowed to think that way. We're not allowed to think in the terms of to each his own. I stand in the image and likeness of my brother. So I have to represent him in his absence. Why? Because I give him a hard time when I show up incomplete. When I show up out of form. We have to make a collective effort to clean up our image and clean up our reputation. Because Hollywood and Jewish people, they did a number to our image and reputation. Since NWA, when Jews infiltrated hip hop, they took over the public representation of our image through media. Romanticizing us as criminals and thugs, gangsters, drug dealers, bloodthirsty, violent criminals, all over the movie screens and media, paying millions and millions of dollars to miserable people in every ghetto to make music, romanticizing it. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them because I come from the love and addiction of gangster rap and hip hop music. I'm one of them. So that's how I know this to be true. And it's Jewish people who did that. It's Jewish people who own every kind of media you can imagine, where black people are represented as some violent, bloodthirsty monsters. But we keep feeding into that reality because we keep enabling it, we promote it, we defend it, we argue for it, we lift it up with all our souls and all our heart. We exemplify it, we imitate it, and it gives us a hard time. Because everything you do, it culminates to evidence against you or evidence for you. It culminates to witnessing in your favor or witnessing to your demise. Everything that you do, it goes into the discovery packet against you. If something should happen, it all will be held against you if something should happen. Black males have to deal with society the same way that they deal with women. When you deal with women, anything can become evidence against you. She would turn anything against you. She would use any of your history as a weapon against you, as a campaign against you. She would destroy and smear your reputation the moment you do something against her wishes, against her best interests, or to offend her or hurt her or wrong her. Even if it's a misunderstanding, she has power to crush your reputation. And the courts don't even think about winning because you won't. It's a royal flush. We're losing contact with the awareness, with the self-awareness. We're losing contact. When you're on social media holding up big guns, when you're on social media with big stacks of money up to your ear, big bags of weed, trap music, and what's it called? Trap music and not trap music. That's my generation. Drill music, and all the drill music and all these different things. All of this becomes evidence piled up against you. See, they got pictures of Carmelo Anthony, the young black male, and the two, young white guys who are twins. Both of them got pictures on their social media with guns, okay? But America gives the white boys grace because they got hunting gear on, okay? But the black boy who has the same gun or same caliber of gun with his street clothes on, there's no grace for you. It's held against you. Everything you do is held against you. And again, you could take the argument like a woman and say, oh, that's not right. That's not fair. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. You're not getting ready to change people's perception. You're not getting ready to change people's fears and prejudices. You're not getting ready to change any of that. So knowing that, where do you begin? Where do you begin? You begin with not giving anyone any evidence against you, and not giving anyone something to hold against you. You're a young black male, so you don't get to do that. Not in the attire that you want to, not in the image that you want to. You have to clean it up and make sure that what goes with it makes sense, that what goes with it explains it, that what goes with it is not enabling the prejudice. Because you're making it that much difficult for yourself when you get to court, or if somebody should hold something against you, or if there's some prejudice held against you for whatever reason. If you should be implicated, you're making it harder for yourself. All of these things come together. We have to clean up our image. We have to clean up our character. And we have to divorce Jewish people from being in our business. And we have to divorce Jewish people from controlling our reputation and controlling how people portray us, how we're portrayed on the screen. We have to bow out from their money and from the bait that they're luring us in with to misrepresent ourselves over and over again in front of the screen. We can't keep letting Jewish people portray us in a way that works against us. We can't keep allowing Jewish people to wave money in front of our noses and then put some hood rat like the Glorrillas and the Sexy Reds and all these toxic people, drug addicts and whores and sluts, to stand in front of us talking about the entertainers. And we're consuming all of this, imitating this, reciting this, But behind it is Jewish people who are paying them lots of money to do it. And the burden is upon us to carry as a consequence. All of this works together. It all works against us. And America has lost its tolerance, its patience. America is done with African American people. And it's not only because of our public image and reputation, but it has a lot to do with African American females being so loud and obnoxious through the Democratic left. Crying wolf through racism, crying wolf through the race card, crying wolf for their own selfish aims and interests. They ruined it for all black people because their mouths are too big and brains too fucking small when it comes to these things. They ruined it for black people. They made it worse for black people. Now nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to deal with it. Everybody wants black people to shut the fuck up. And I do too. I do too. Because we don't have room. We don't have room to justify anything. Because we aren't showing the evidence and proof of a will to improve who we are. Not in our character and reputation, not in what we're representing out to the world. We refuse to do that. And a lot of this starts with alienating the fathers, keeping the fathers away, punishing the fathers through the children, punishing the fathers through the divorce courts and child support system, family courts, vilifying fathers, alienating fathers, telling these lies and these false stories, these false narratives to the children that the father didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be involved. He's a deadbeat. He don't care about you. He don't love you. It starts with that. And what you end up doing is cursing your own sons because that's the man who was supposed to prepare them for the world, not you. Who the fuck are you supposed to be? You're a woman. You can't prepare no man for the fucking world. You crazy? You don't even know where to begin to start with that, please. You can never have those conversations in accuracy and fulfillment. Ever. Because you're not a fucking man.